evening, and it's Monday, which means it's time for Enterprise at 8. This is Live Long and Podcast Star Trek Enterprise Rewatch series. It's been over 20 years since tonight's episode Fusion first aired, but we're just getting started here at Live Long and Podcast. I hope I said that right.
You did.
I'm Jody Simpson, and along with me is the man who appreciates a good mint tea, Adam Woodward. How are you,
Hi,
Adam?
Jody.
I had a hard time writing lines for this one, guys. I'm just letting you know now.
It was a great mint tea.
It was a good mint tea? Okay, great. And of course, Adam and I are joined by some awesome panelists. Tonight, joining us is Live Long Podcast awesome producer and the man who enjoys a good chamomile tea, Dave Mater.
Occasional chamomile tea.
Just occasionally.
And you're easily amused, Jody.
You're easily amused.
Sometimes I am. That's true. Depends on what I've partaken in beforehand. And, of course, who can forget the man who has to meditate before he sees Captain Archer just to purge all of his emotions, Kevin Millard.
And somehow I still don't manage.
Fair enough. Tonight's episode is Fusion. This is the 17th, I believe, 17th episode in the first season. This episode is basically the crew of the Enterprise meets a group of outcast Vulcans, and apparently a dog in my house, who embraces their own emotions, leading to trouble with T'Pol. There you go. So that's our teaser, guys. That's it.
That's the
Anybody
setup.
want to talk about it, or are we done?
Well,
We should probably talk
Admiral
about
Johnny Archer needs to
Good old
earn
Johnny
those
Archer.
Admiral pips, if you ask me, before he puts that into his book.
Well, he was aspiring, you see.
He
I
was
don't know
aspiring.
if he doesn't ever make an admiral, does he?
Yeah, he does.
He
Does
does
he?
actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Remember,
yeah.
Scotty
don't-
referred to him as
Scotty did,
beaming
yeah.
his Porthos somewhere and never bringing him back.
He refers to an Admiral Archer, a prized beagle. The only thing that ever struck me as odd in that Simon Pegg Scotty's reference in the 2009 movie was that Archer, spoilers, I guess, goes on to become the Federation president. So it would have been more fitting to call him President Archer than Admiral Archer at that time, but sure.
Kelvin timeline.
When
True.
you
Just
you,
does everything
you
wrong.
put up a picture of the book there, and did anybody else catch that he just spent all of his time staring at the cover of a book? Maybe open it.
Kevin, sometimes you have to start off slow. All right. And sometimes some kids are just born a little slow. There's nothing to be bad about. It's just, it is what it is.
All right.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know about the slander the human race is suffering on Vulcan, Jody, but apparently
about it.
we sleep half the day, we eat 6 meals, and we get to copulate with any female we choose, whenever we choose. Don't even have to wait 7 years. Can you
So
believe
are
it?
you trying to tell me, guys, that you don't do this?
The Vulcans definitely don't know how to slander somebody.
Yeah.
You drink mint tea.
Too much flavor.
Too much flavor. This is too much flavor for one person.
Yeah. He's like, well, can
Yeah,
Vulcan-
it sounds like a really hard light.
Oh, but the NX-01 had some form of Keurig, and they would take a cup out, and then they would put it in, and then they would say something, and then it would. So I'm wondering when my voice-activated Keurig is going to show up. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, only T'Pol knows how to operate it. It wasn't intuitive for Mr.
Yeah, it
Vulcan.
wasn't intuitive enough for another guy to say, "Hey, I want a tea." That was that's just too far gone.
No, it's like that. It's like when Bashir and O'Brien get on the turbo lift on the
The old
original
Enterprise.
Enterprise.
Yeah.
They could say it, but if they don't touch the button, they're not going anywhere.
Right.
True.
You got to press the button.
Well, not only that in the original
Gotta hold
series,
it.
they
Yeah,
had to
hold the handle.
You had to
Yeah.
hold the handle thing. Yeah. So
And speaking of the Kelvin timeline, this episode featured Robert Pine, the father of Chris Pine. I know I'm kind of stealing your fun fact there, Adam. But
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, you know what?
I would have knew it in fun facts if you didn't steal that.
It's
from
okay. This
Adam.
is a good one though, because Robert Pine was actually the captain on Chips, the original series back in the early 80s, which I used to watch.
Shit, that's where I know him from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael
okay.
Dorn. Michael Dorn was on Chips too.
Really?
Really?
Was
I
he a
didn't know
kid
that.
then, I guess?
No, he
Oh,
was
he would've.
he was adult.
He would have been like a teenager at that point.
No, he's not as
Like
young as you
early
think.
20s, maybe.
Michael Dorn is like 70, isn't he?
Oh, okay, then he was an adult for sure.
How
Really?
old Michael Dorn? Michael Dorn is
Let's find that
69.
out. This is-
69.
let's just stop this entire show for that. No,
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
I just learned something about.
I didn't
Michael
know he was that old. The
Yeah.
man is aging very well.
And he was on
So-
Chips.
Good for him.
Yep.
So he
was,
would have been like in his probably mid 20s then.
Only
Mid-20s,
31
30s.
episodes. He was Officer Jebediah Turner.
They had to give him a name, Jebediah. Like, come on.
Pretty good. Jebediah.
That just goes to show you the era.
Jeb.
Jeb.
Yeah, 79 to 82. He was on with Robert
And-
Pine. for this
Anyway,
episode.
this really doesn't have much to do about this. Well, I guess it does. It's the same actor, but anyway, we end up our teaser is essentially Archer talking about this what is it? Arachnoid.
The Arachnid Nebula.
An arachnid nebula, and he's always wanted to see it, and he's like, hey, let's haul ass. It's only a light year away. Let's go over and forget our mission. I'm a kid again, and let's go do this.
It's the asteroid all over again.
Yeah. I wonder if he's gonna name this now.
Comet, pardon me.
Yeah. Do you think he'll name it, or is it already named?
It's already named.
So
It's
he
already
can't do anything
named.
about it then. So why is he
Right.
even going then? What's the point?
Because they thought it was 6 billion kilometers in diameter. It's actually 8 billion, Jody.
That's
We gotta-
that's many billions more.
Do you see how giddy they got when they thought they were going to get to update a textbook?
Except for T'Pol, she doesn't care.
No.
at
Yeah,
all.
T'Pol's like it's a nebula.
Wait,
Just
did you
like-
ever- it's like she's in Archer's cabin and he brings out that book, and I feel like it's like when my grandfather used to hand me a book of things like here's poetry from 1920, and I go,
You're like,
yeah,
thanks, Grandpa.
yeah.
Archer is basically T'Pol's
I'm
grandpa.
totally gonna read this.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I'm gonna go right to my room and read this right now.
And she's
I'm
like,
not even
oh,
gonna stop and get any mint tea.
and like I imagine her like lots of things in her mind. Number one, oh dear Lord. Second of all, you're only allowed a certain amount of stuff on this ship, and this is what you bring. Like a
Your old text.
Your old
Textbook.
astronomy book.
Sam's letting us know that dude looks like Adam with black hair.
Who? Robert Pine?
Yeah,
No, the
Robert
guy-
Pine and Adam look the same, apparently. I
No,
can
that-
see a little bit of it. Let's bring it back up again. Let's get a good comparison here.
Oh.
Dave, can we get a side by side of Adam and
Adam Robert Pine?
Adam and Robert Pine? Come
Yeah,
on, what
producer,
inquiring
just
minds
look
want
that
to
up
know.
quick.
And you know what? The one thing I like to do is cater to Sam. So
find a picture from Chips or something. Not so much Vulcan.
Michael Donner on Chips. Let's find him.
it's definitely apples to apples. Like, come on.
I'm just waiting for it to cut away back to Robert Pine. There we go. All right, here we go. I don't.
There's Robert. I don't know if we can do
Well-
a side by side, but
Maybe.
I think we're
Maybe.
stretching that a bit, Sam. Maybe you've got a little bit too much into that hooch tonight. But anyway,
If I do, I don't know how to fix. I don't know how to work this.
yeah, you know what? Our producer doesn't know how to produce. Okay, so like that's just where we're at. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't know how to put it them. I don't know how to put them side.
I don't know
by
how to
side.
do it either. So,
But
yeah.
that's Robert Pine. Can
Can you do that face, Adam? Let's see if you can do that face.
Yeah, there you go.
Now bring up Adam. Make Adam big.
It's just.
We can do that, can't we?
I can't do
It's
No,
lost.
that's me.
I don't know how to
All
do
right,
it. When
that's
I,
Adam.
got, when I got the image up, Jody, it's
All
not
right,
that simple.
All right, Adam, do it again.
I can't. It's not. The moment's over. Move
All
on.
right. Anyway, all right. Enough tomfoolery. Let's get to the mission here, boys. So anyway, yeah. So our teaser is basically this. We find out that they're going to travel to this arachnid area here. When they said arachnid, though, I instantly thought of Starship Troopers. I don't know if you guys did. I love that
did.
movie. Probably more than I probably should, but I do. But anyway,
I just thought of spiders. I didn't like it's. But yeah,
you didn't think of Starship Troopers? That's a great movie.
I love Starship Troopers, but I don't.
Amazing movie.
I don't think they own the term arachnid. Like
No.
it's,
But they changed it.
They changed it for you.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Like arachnophobia, maybe more.
Maybe. Yeah. So anyway, so then we get to our credits, the theme song that Kevin loves. So then after that, Kevin hummed along. We all waited for Kevin to stop, and then after that we did it. So anyway, we then meet Tavin, which is the guy that we just saw on screen, I believe.
No, before that, Jody. They
Oh.
get, he gets the alert that there's a craft hailing them, spacecraft hailing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then the big, shock is that the Vulcans are happy to see them. Happy to meet
Oh
them.
yeah, and he was very excited about that. He's like, "Wow, Vulcans that want to see me. I'm special now."
You haven't heard about me, I guess.
They heard about that comet of mine. I bet.
They also commented it was an old ship. Like Paul's like, that's an old.
Yeah, it's like not in use anymore. Or
Not
something.
in use anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I knew what we were getting into.
Exactly.
I remember this episode.
Yeah, they don't recognize the vessel, and they identify as the Valklas.
The Voclus.
Valklas. See, that's why I have Dave, because Dave pronounces everything correctly.
Mhm.
Uh,
I've been to Vulcan.
What's that?
I've been to Vulcan. So.
Have you? Oh, okay, good.
Oh, yeah,
good.
Star Trek Online.
In virtually, I've been there.
So anyway, yeah, Archer surprise, roll credits. Then after that, basically, we find out that these guys are not, they weren't sent by Vulcan High Command or anything like that. These guys have just been out and about, and they're just zipping around the old universe there with their version of the VW bug and their VW bus, and they're kind of like Vulcan hippies, really.
Vulcan
In a way.
hippies might be a good way to describe them.
Yeah, kind of like Vulcan hippies.
Precursor to
Dissidents.
Cybok.
But basically, this is a small group of Vulcans who essentially they live with their emotions. They embrace them, and which leads to a lot of interesting things and some very creepy dude, which is this guy here that you see on my screen. Yeah, and there he is. That dude is creepy. Like the minute you see this is the guy who you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna let my children hang out in the same room with this guy.
Tolaris, is this character.
Yeah.
He was
Tolaris,
Mr.
yeah,
He was
Tolaris.
kind of interesting. I thought his performance was very nuanced. He's creepy, but there's a reason that DePaul chooses to, I don't know,
She's intrigued.
spend time with him.
Yeah, she's intrigued by him.
Even though he seemed to put some kind of like horny dream in her head after dinner or something like that.
No. He suggested that she doesn't meditate.
Yes.
That was her.
That was all her.
Which
Yeah.
we suggest that Kevin does meditate. But past that, that's
Or else I get far too horny.
oh my. Well, there goes that PG rating of ours.
Kevin, is Ashley home right now? Just wondering.
No.
She's like, did you not meditate today?
Did you not meditate, Kevin?
Jesus
Get off me,
Christ,
Kevin.
Leave me alone and go meditate.
I just got home from work. Go meditate. Anyway, but yeah, so we end up. They end up embracing, and kind of the different guys from the ship end up kind of going with some of our characters about their various things. We find out that essentially the ship itself has been damaged, and they need some help. They need some help to repair it and whatnot. So Archer lends this friendly hand and says, "Hey, why don't you dock with us? Because I love docking." And then at that point, we'll see. Look at Kevin; he's already losing it. Did I go too far with the docking thing?
No, it's good.
No,
Okay.
you're on a roll.
All right.
Keep going.
I'm on a roll. Okay. And then at that point, he says, "Hey, let's dock. It's going to take about 6-7 days to fix all of your problems. We got some meditation with Kevin and stuff like that." So anyway, we do that, and then the different guys. Now there's 3 main characters really. There's the captain guy. There's the creepy
there's
dude.
Tavin's the captain. Tolaris is the creepy dude, and then there is
The engineering guy.
This guy,
Kov. Yeah, Kov, the simple engineering guy.
The
Or at least he comes
portly
off as
Vulcan.
simple. The
He
portly
almost looks like
Vulcan.
a Packlid. He's almost there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this guy actually played a Packlid at one point or another, because he's kind of even got the mannerisms in his
Yeah.
face and stuff.
Hey, I was
but
expecting, can you make us
Out of all the
go?
characters, this is the guy that I actually liked out of the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Which I think is on purpose. I think we're supposed to like him. Because
I think
later
we're supposed to
on
like the
we find
captain
out some more.
too, but I don't think he's kind of not really important to the story. So.
No, it's basically centered around these two guys, and one of which is this guy who's very interested in human, and he's the guy that thinks that he's heard that we eat 6 meals a day and we just procreate with anything we want, and all that stuff. So it's an interesting character. I liked him. I thought he seemed logical and whatnot. So overall, I thought it was a good character. No, didn't get the creepy vibes like I got off of the other guy. The guy instantly, the minute you see what's his name, Talaris. Talaris. When you see Talaris on screen, it's an instant. Oh geez, like he's the guy that probably has the van that says free comics and candy on the side. Like he's that guy, very creepy, and he's almost got like this kind of, brashness to him in a way. Like he's got this cocky brashness to him. He kind of reminds me of like an 80s CEO in like a 80s movie,
like in RoboCop.
Yeah, kind of like a RoboCop. Good,
Dick
actually,
Jones.
great analogy.
You think he's
Jones.
like Ronnie Cox,
He's Dick Jones.
Well, no one can be Ronnie Cox.
or he's like Miguel Ferreira?
More like Miguel Ferreira, I think.
Okay,
I think you're right. So,
all right,
anyway, wow,
interesting.
Yeah,
I
all over
thought
the place.
the whole like this. I thought that like them meeting up with this group of Vulcan sort of dissidents or radicals is kind of interesting because I guess especially if you were looking at it from their point of view, because we have all this knowledge of other Star Trek series having seen Vulcans. Yeah, Vulcans have emotions. We know about Cybok from Star Trek V. There's been other examples of this kind of happening. Even there was a couple episodes with Tuvok and Voyager that kind of dealt with similar issues. And so we're seeing this from this point of view. And especially the fact that mind melds are not even widely used at this time, right? I think it's the other big kind of like, whoa, okay, maybe we don't know everything we thought we knew about the Vulcans in this show.
Well, and that's another thing that this show is always doing, is it's always showing us more of the Vulcans than we even in some scenarios are comfortable seeing. Now, most of this episode, almost everything in this episode can be tied back to something to do with Star Trek. Like one of the final scenes, which we'll talk about a little bit later, with the unpleasant scene, I guess is a good way to say it. We saw something very similar to this in the 6th Star Trek movie. So it's this isn't new territory, but this is interesting to see. I think I like the inquisitive nature of the Kov guy
and Next Gen.
Yeah, Next Gen as well. Yeah.
Because Nemesis hadn't even come out yet, right? At this point,
no, not at this point. No, Nemesis is 2003, isn't it?
No, it's this year. I think, or maybe it's 2003. Yeah, it's either this year or it's later that year.
It was a great year for Star Trek. That's all I can tell you.
The whole idea of, I guess, like a psychic rape, I guess, is what.
Yeah, and we've seen this before with other things. Like we've seen Troy had an episode in Next Gen about this, and then
that was just creepy too. I mean, that wasn't.
Yeah, this is where we get into like the really kind of Star Trek. The like, wow. And the funny thing is, this episode, we don't really see it going that way. And then it just kind of goes that way right at the, in the final act. We all of a sudden are like, oh, okay. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I wish it hadn't. That's the only thing I didn't like about this episode. I wished
it makes you uneasy.
Didn't make him into a bad guy. Like,
well, I guess you have to portray, does it really make sense? Like she realistically did consent. But then she also chose not to consent after.
Yeah.
And when she chose not to consent after, that should have been the end. But at that point, he was so interested in converting her over to that way that he's blindly, avoiding, doing that. And obviously that's wrong. But
isn't Talaris
set out to do harm? But
no, I didn't get the impression that he was trying to harm her. But it just went too far. Right?
I think he was really rushing the process. In order to show her the way.
Yeah. Which I guess we probably should get into, because most of the people that are watching this probably don't understand what the hell we're even talking about.
But did anybody else like the dinner scene with the Vulcans?
Yes.
And how the humans were all about these Vulcans. They were loving these Vulcans.
Yeah.
And T'Pol plays
Paul's
this
just like, ugh.
perfectly. She barely says anything, but everything they say, she's got this look of shock on her face or skepticism, or
See,
it was awesome.
To me, it almost made me feel like T'Pol was actually upset that they were there and she wasn't the focus anymore. You know what I mean? Like in a way, but I don't think that's what it was. But it was interesting to see that.
Jody, I think that first of all, I think she's surprised they ran upon these guys. Like, I mean, this is, a small sect, obviously.
And she actually knows of these people. So
yes.
she knew of them. She's like, oh, these are these guys.
Yeah, there can't be that many of them. So the fact they
don't invite them to dinner,
I love her quote too.
Just because they smile and eat chicken doesn't mean they've learned to master their emotions.
Oh my god! Also, I was hoping.
I don't know. I think that qualifies me.
I was hoping one of them would say, "Fine, I'll try your burn replicated.
I'll have some of your burn replicated bird meat."
Chef makes a pretty good chicken.
Oh well.
I shall try some of your burned replicated bird meat.
I can't believe you actually had that.
I do.
You got like everything in that little.
Not everything, Jody, but I'm working on it.
All right. That kind of made me happy. Not gonna lie.
Your burned replicated bird meat. Yeah, but it's not replicated this time. This is real chicken.
Where the hell are they getting the chickens from?
See, I imagine the Enterprise has this lower deck full of animals.
Just animals. Just a menagerie of things to eat.
It's like Noah's Ark. They have two of every
every so often, Phlox goes down there and things go missing.
They go get the eggs, and
a couple chickens
just
laying
one
eggs.
One episode down there would be amazing.
Farm deck. I should have some of your replicated bird meat. But yeah, just to see, they were just like, hey, that's kind of like the opener. Everybody's like, what? These are meat-eating Vulcans, emotion, smug Vulcans, because Mr. Talaris, he's so smug through that dinner. He just keeps like eating. He's like, oh yeah, I love this. This is great conversation. Watching this Vulcan high command lady feel uncomfortable around us.
Yeah.
So basically, go ahead.
No, you go, because we got to get through this to get to the next part.
Well, I was kind of just going to the next part, so go ahead.
So, they have the dinner, and you're right. Talaris is sort of aggravating. I love the captain. Just sure, try it. Give me chicken.
It's great. Here.
I love chicken.
Everybody else of your race that I've met, they're all vegetarians, but no problem. I'll throw you a chicken.
He's very endearing, and you're right. I wish we had seen more of him. But so that goes on, and then Talaris is talking about her letting go, and don't meditate tonight and see what happens. And you just knew something's going to happen, right? So we get to the scene behind you now, where the stupid jazz music playing, which I would have liked to see if it wasn't for the jazz music.
Yeah, the jazz music was distracting.
But it made sense when you found out why the jazz music was there, because this is a dream that she's kind of compiled from her experiences when she was on Earth. Right, so she used to go to a bar that had jazz music.
That part of it made sense, but then once we get into like her weird,
this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, what's this about?
Why not?
You didn't meditate. It makes you horny.
What is it? Ponfar? Ponfar?
Okay, and interestingly enough, like Kov explains like sex and Vulcan mating rituals and things in this episode. He says only the men have to have sex every 7 years. I guess the women don't have that restriction for Ponfar, right? Is what kind of is explained to us.
That seems to be what he's implying, anyway.
Yeah. Is that part? Well, they really like T'Pol is the first female Vulcan main character, right? So, there hasn't really been a main character before her.
Yeah, I guess technically.
I keep coming back to this. Is like with T'Pol, they've really sexualized in the first part of the season that we watched so far.
Yeah.
And I don't remember them doing that with anybody before as much as her.
7 of 9, I would say.
Yeah, maybe.
Troy.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Oh, Troy was totally sexualized for the first season.
First season?
Yeah.
I couldn't stand her uniform.
Apparently,
so
there's dogs like attacking.
Yeah. Anyway. And Deep Space Nine Dabo girls, but not really their main character in that sense. Anyone like that?
I mean, they've showed a lot of her, in the decontamination chamber, or now this scene, and it's just a little bit, I think, beyond where they usually go in Star Trek.
But this is what this was supposed to be. This
Yeah.
was supposed to be Star Trek for other people. This wasn't supposed to be.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's different.
No, and I agree with you. This is definitely different. This is off the rails. Does it work? I don't actually think it works that well. But I understand why it's there.
I
don't think we need to have it all the time, though.
Well, they don't.
No, which is good. So, and later on, like, they really don't do a lot of that come season 3 and 4. There's not a lot of sexualization except for maybe the mirror episodes. The mirror episode was kind of sexualized, but
and why is this happening? And I think, like, if you want to look at the common thread here, it's Brandon Braga and Rick Berman who think that the nerds who watch Star Trek, namely us, need like a hot woman in there to like take her clothes off, and we're gonna go, she's so hot. This makes this show much better. I find it very condescending, quite frankly, from the writer's point of view.
I enjoy the decontamination scenes.
Well, I think that's why Troy in Next Gen bothered me, and it was her outfit. Her outfits were made
were terrible
for that.
Nothing was better when she freaking put on a uniform, like a real uniform.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Ronnie Cox made her put it on.
Ronnie Cox did that.
Yep,
and everybody gave him shit.
She never takes it off.
Jellicoe is the best. Remember that.
Yeah.
Even
She had
Steve
the big.
Shives
Get it done, Jody. Get it
She had
done.
the big
That's
cleavage.
right. Just get it done.
For the better part of 4 seasons, I'd say.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Ronnie Cox made that happen.
I think the second part of this episode, like that scene sort of rubbed me the wrong way. First of all, the jazz, and then it just didn't feel like Star Trek. But the second part of it, when she was, being in the mind meld, I thought was pretty invading. I felt that pain. So
yeah.
I definitely, the mind meld part, which is later on and like almost near the end of the episode, really, that it's really, it's almost upsetting to the point where it's like, you're like, oh,
stop already. Damn.
Yeah. Like, seriously, dude, like, what are you doing? Right now. I do like the last scene really with Archer and him, going against that guy. I thought that was great. Again, Archer surprised me in this episode. I didn't hate him.
Why doesn't he arrest him at the end of the episode?
Yeah, it was very like, just go.
Just go.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? You've had your way with one of my officers. You just get the hell out of here.
He just threw Archer across the room. Why is that not like put him in the brig for a day or something?
I would have liked to seen something along the lines of, oh yeah, I forgot you guys were 2 times stronger than us.
3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. Is it? Yeah, 3 times. Yeah. He got his ass whooped. Like, he got thrown.
But he's like, I just taped this phase pistol to the back of the chair.
Yeah, I'll just tape this phase pistol just in case. It's actually for when Porthos gets a little too crazy on the cheese.
Too much cheese.
I didn't understand this scene at all. I don't know why he had to do that. Like, because he says the Talaris or whatever says you planned this. Why did Archer have to do this at all? Couldn't he just take her word for it and then say something to him? Like, why did he have to try to make him angry?
I think this was kind of more of a payback moment. He was trying to prove a point that, like, it's not right to do this, and he's standing up for his friend because at this point
he was really acting as like a big brother, it
was almost like a big brother protection thing. Yeah, that's how I thought it was anyway. But we're well ahead in this episode. Like, there's stuff that happened well before this, but yeah, no, it's an interesting episode when it comes to that type of stuff. But overall, I guess really the reason why we're jumping is because the stuff that's in the middle really is the same and the same and the same, right? Like,
it's just lettuce.
But I love it. I love the Cov and
I love the Cov and
Trip.
Even with him with Malcolm
really
as well.
Together.
Even with Malcolm there was good.
Yeah.
And the two of them are sitting in the mess hall, and he's asking him all these different questions. Like along the lines of I heard this, I heard that, I heard this, and Trip's
this is
just like,
good
you're
because
nuts.
it's Trip who his knee-jerk reaction is to hate the Vulcans all the time.
Yeah.
And then,
he's
but
sitting
as
down
soon
with
as
one
this
and
one
he's-
smiling one shows up, he's like, "This is my best friend."
This is
Yeah,
the best.
this
Vulcan
guy's
I've ever
awesome.
met.
Let's go for beers. Yeah. And really, it is kind of like that. So it's interesting to see that progression because Trip and probably Archer are the two most hating of the Vulcans out of the whole crew. Well, maybe hate's not the right word, but dislike, I guess, is probably the best way to say
Irritation with them.
it. Irritated with them.
and
Yeah, both
just
of them.
Oh,
for
the High
reasons.
Command more specifically than the entire Vulcan species. I
Yeah.
think. You
Yeah,
know, it's-
but Trip and him are like, they're like, it's like an episode of Leave It to Beaver, man. Like him and Trip being Beaver and this guy being, Eddie Haskell or whatever the guy's name was.
right.
I don't even know if I have the right show there, but anyway.
Yes.
Do I have the right
Yeah.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the two of them just, they're gonna go paint a fence later. Like that's where we're going here, right? Like they're two peas in a pod at this point. Now obviously they have engineering as being kind of like
Two
the
peas in
common
a
ground
shuttle
for both
pod?
of them. Yeah, two peas in a shuttle pod.
Shuttle pod
maybe
one?
he should have been with Malcolm in that episode earlier. I like the dynamic between those two, Kevin. As Kevin said there, and I liked it. I agree. And even when Malcolm was introduced to that, it was I think Malcolm was just really, we got to give this guy some lines. Like it doesn't really serve much of a purpose, but it's interesting to see his reaction as being more of the, the proper, Englishman kind of thing, right? So it's kind of interesting to see that, I guess. But overall, like I like that dynamic. I like Cobb. I thought he was a good character. But yeah, like there you go. There they are there, and they're sharing dinner, and Malcolm comes by with his coffee because Malcolm never really eats. Like every time he eats, it's always something that he says he hates. And
Pineapple cake.
Yeah.
Pineapple cake. Sea
Well,
bass.
he's got his filling on pineapple cake recently, so he doesn't have any more. I don't know why anybody would eat a pineapple.
He turns
cake,
up his
but anyway.
nose at meatloaf.
Yes,
Too American.
Yes, very
He's got,
American.
like, sea bass instead.
He's got
Yes.
Chilean sea bass. That's-
Chilean
sea bass
sea bass,
and
even though he
fucking
says he
bass.
doesn't like seafood at all, but
Well, that's what his friend
Anyway.
thought. But I did like when when Kov says sex or whatever, and like the entire mess hall
Yeah,
kind of
there's-
like looks, and they're like, "Is this Vulcan going to tell us what's going on with the sex?" Like,
yeah, is there an orgy coming up?
well, I think just more
We
like
got a warp drive. Now they're going to teach us this.
I can't wait to do those positions.
what's
Yeah, but
interesting
you know
to
what?
me-
I mean, think about it though, because like their whole experience with Vulcans is being high command, as you said,
Yeah.
and to Paul.
but they've known the Vulcans for 90 years, and they know very little about them.
There's that.
Right.
There's that part of the
Well,
episode.
Kirk
and
knows
the
very
same
little
Vulcans
about
have
them by
probably
the
been
time
through
we
two
get-
generations. Sorry.
Yeah. Kirk knows very little about them by the time we get to original series. Like
Yeah.
the Vulcans, it's through all the series. They play it pretty close to the vest. Everything is super personal. I mean, they really
It's a
play
private
that up
matter.
on Voyager with
Mhm.
Tuvok. Everything is really personal.
Yeah,
We
when he
don't
gets that
talk-
like that disease, he can't even talk about it because he's
Yeah.
like for a species who says they purge emotions, they are the most bashful people. They are like the most. They are so like high strung and so worried about like, oh my god, clutching their pearls all the time. Like, what will people think?
Yeah, and
you
then
know?
you get like pompous asshole guy here, like you see in the background here. This guy, and he just rubs me the wrong way the entire episode, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be rubbed the wrong way by him, but obviously near the end I definitely am. But it's interesting. We don't get nearly as much of the captain as I thought we would have. I would have thought
Two
we would have got a lot
episodes
more.
now.
Yeah, well, I don't just mean Archer. I mean the
You meant
captain.
Robert
of
Pine,
their
right?
ship. Yeah, Robert Pine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right though, Adam. There's not a lot of Archer going on in this episode either. Like
It's really
he's kind of a mentor. He's got that kind of fun finale part at the end. But basically, this guy he's trying to convince to Paul that she needs to embrace her emotional side. Start showing some of it, start embracing it, stop meditating, all that stuff. And this is slowly driving her a little nuts. And we start seeing, obviously the flashback that we have behind me here. This is a dream that she's having, where she's sitting in this place in San Francisco she used to visit when she was on Earth. And she basically says, I actually felt elevated when I was sitting there and listening to this music, and I know I shouldn't have, because I'm not supposed to be showing emotion or feeling emotion. So it's interesting to see that she's kind of open up and saying, I'm not the perfect Vulcan. I'm, even though we've kind of seen her as that, she very rarely gets emotional anytime that we've seen her so far in the last 16 episodes. So it's interesting to find out that she does indeed have that side. And she definitely plays it really well. I like the scene with her, like right after this happens, where she's just kind of on the floor. She's obviously a victim at this point, and it's really disjointing to see it, especially from a character that we know as being kind of a strong character who is not, doesn't show emotion. She's always pretty straight cut and to the point and all that. So it's interesting to see that she's vulnerable. So it's interesting to see that, I thought, but I don't know if this is the way I would have liked to see it. But overall, like, I don't think the episode's terrible, but
I loved their initial conversation over the tea.
Yes.
Like your emotions are closer to the surface, they're easier to read, and like your sense of humor. When she says, sometimes
she says something and she's like, "Oh, I see you have a sense of humor," and she's like, "What?"
You're easily amused.
Yeah, well, you're easily amused, but we've heard that from other people on the ship in previous episodes as well. So he isn't the only person that's noticed that, right? So like, even I think Trip was one of the ones that mentioned that she's got a bit of a sense of humor, or she's at least got
like a dry wit, I would call
dry
it.
wit. Yeah. But like here, for instance, this scene here where she's kind of crawling her way back up, and she hits the button and she's like, I need medical attention, basically. She's talking to Phlox in sickbay over the comms, and it's like it's creepy to see her do that.
But this is not the first time in this episode she's visited sickbay either.
No,
she went after the meditation. She was unsettled for sure.
Yeah, and she already knew how to fix it too, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, that was a good scene too. Okay, very well, Doctor.
Okay, very well, Doctor. Yeah, Phlox is just like, why the fuck am I here then? If you're
just give me my shot.
I see you have a doctorate. Why don't you go over to the cabinet and get your damn shot then? Like that kind of thing. So
yeah. Well, the thing with not just Paul, but all Vulcans, they're just so like skeptical of everything. And they always think they're invincible, and they're sort of like they're so prim and proper, and they're above like disease or having a cavity or whatever her issue was that other episode. They're stuck up people.
Yeah, I guess overall,
but that's what I'm trying to say is that they all play the same role. There's very little diversity. There may be behind the face and the facade they put up, but it's a very superior, unemotional, judgmental, and that no wonder the humans feel always like insecure around them.
Yeah,
right. How could you not?
Because they always show their strength, right? They always show, or at least the mask of strength,
and right? Point out what's wrong with humans.
Yeah. You guys are too emotional.
But I thought that the whole plot with like Cobb's father and the fact that like the Vulcans were trying to reconnect these like through their diplomatic channels. Soval reaches out to Admiral Forrest, who calls Archer. He's like, "Can you talk to this guy and get him to call his dad? His dad's dying." And Archer kind of tries, and it doesn't really go anywhere. He's like, "Trip, you're friends with this guy. Why don't you try?"
This guy's your bestie.
You've known him for 12 hours, but he's your best friend.
And I like how they reference the previous episode where Archer first is like, "They let you keep to Paul, like, do them a solid here. Come on."
Come on. You kind of got a science officer, didn't you?
Stop pissing them off and do something for them.
Yeah, why don't you stop being a jackass, Archer, and help them out once in a while, But
right.
See, Admiral Forrest is like, "Please get them off my back. Do something."
Yeah, so basically, we find out that Cobb's dad's dying, and they need to reconnect, and I guess Cobb hasn't talked to him in many, many years.
Like 9 years or something.
Yeah, which is interesting to think that he would have that ability to do that. So it's interesting to see that they kind of do the same things that humans do. So again, we're getting into Vulcans being more relatable. The other thing I can relate to is the fact that my gut would hang out of that outfit as well. But he's got a little bit of moves going on there. I'm not gonna lie, but
He's since lost weight. I looked what he looks like now, but yeah,
I'm sure he has.
You
but,
should not see you don't used to see any Star Trek actors with a little extra, especially a Vulcan. It's kind of a
all the Vulcans are usually slim and proper, so obviously this
Because they don't
guy
eat
hangs
chicken.
around. Yeah, this
These
guy
ones
eats
eat
chicken.
chicken.
Yeah, he eats the chicken for
get
sure.
off chicken, Vulcans.
He eats it fried for sure.
He stops at like the galaxy equivalent of KFC and
Extra breading.
grabs a bucket once in a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, we
but
all do. But
just the line he delivers in that scene where he's talking to Archer, he's like, last time I talked to my dad, he said I brought shame to 12 generations of our family. And you're like, yeah, like we know that Sarek kind of did this to Spock. He was kind of like, you got to go to the Vulcan Science Academy or it's over. And eventually his dad came around. But the Vulcans deal with a lot of the same parenting issues that we all do, like the humans do. About expectations.
Yeah, and again, I think this was trying to show us that the Vulcans are closer to humans than humans want them to think they are, and stuff like that. So it's again, this is a Vulcan story episode. We kind of knew this going in. This is what it was going to be anyway. More Vulcan background, I guess, is a good way to look at it. But overall, yeah, we see this, and then Archer has this little chat with him, and Archer's like, hey, oh, your dad's dying, man. You got to call him. And he's like, no, I'm not calling him. And then Trip's like, well, I don't want to be his buddy now that you got me to do something. But
there was this pretty girl in Florida. And
do you know how to dance?
Yeah,
Vulcans
I
dance.
never asked her to dance. You guys know how to dance? You want to dance with me? That's what I was waiting
Two-step.
for him to say.
My
But
brother taught me the two-step.
Yeah,
They shake those tambourines during Ponfar, So
So anyway, he decides he's going to talk to his dad eventually after Trip's talk with him. Now they're besties and they're going to be pen pals and all that shit. But anyway, the best scene in this episode is still this one, in my opinion, which is Archer confronting what's his name again? Talaris.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a name that they've used before.
I don't like it. I don't like this scene. I don't think it's the best scene.
I like this scene.
Why?
I don't know why, but I like it. I like it because I like to see Archer get his ass thrown, which is always fun.
Well, that part is
because
good.
I still stand by this. Out of everybody, Archer is the one that definitely takes a beating more in Star Trek than anybody else. And Archer gets thrown around all the time. It's great. I love it. Out of all as far as Captain goes, this is the guy that gets the most.
He's kind of like Captain America. I could do this all day. Just keep
yeah. He's like, you know what? Yeah, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. But anyway, and of course he's got that
from the
face
lip.
whistle. Yeah, he's got a little bit of the bleed there going on.
I could do this all.
Anyway,
that's. I don't even know what that's from, but
that's from Hawkeye. It was the Rogers the musical. I could do this all day.
Oh, okay, I didn't watch that. So.
That was my Steve Rogers riff. Yeah. But X-rated says we're fusion. We're fusion.
We're fusion.
Okay. Yes.
X-rated podcast.
Yes,
Make sure
we
you
all
watch
forgot
them.
to meditate.
We all horniness is going around. But the scene
Speak
at
for
the end,
yourself, gentlemen.
the scene at the end should be like, hey, your guy Talaris, Robert Pine, sucks, and he assaulted the officer, and I think we need to like escalate this to the Vulcan authorities because there's been an assault here.
I don't think that this Vulcan crew is immune to like that kind of assault.
See, I get the impression that these guys are off the grid. These guys are not.
No, they
they're not
say
part of
at that
Vulcan.
dinner. They
Well,
say at that
that's
dinner that the high command is always in their business too.
They're always checking in on them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Well, maybe. Yeah.
And they talk about the mind meld as something that doesn't happen very often. I'll steal my own fun fact, but it's the first time we've ever seen it in the Star Trek world. Right. So
chronologically,
yeah, obviously.
So
And she
I did like this
so
scene,
much
though.
so that it has to be explained to her what it is.
yeah, that was interesting that she wasn't even familiar with the term, and he was like, was abandoned centuries ago? Because we know in just a century from this point, like when Spock is around, like it's fairly common by his time.
Yeah.
So
Not only that, but Spock basically does the exact same thing in Star Trek 6. He goes in without
On
permission,
Polaris.
and yeah, and he's trying to get information.
That was to
obviously,
save the galaxy. It was.
Yeah, it's different, obviously, but yeah, I did like the scene though at the end with Archer and T'Pol, and T'Pol's kind of meditating in her room, and he walks in on her, and he's kind of like, "Are you all right?" And she's like, "Is the ship gone?" And he's like, "Yeah, they left about 20 minutes ago." She goes, "Okay, I'm better." It's like, oh, okay, I guess that's how we're ending it. All right.
And when he says, "You do this every night," now I understand.
Yeah,
that
now
was
I
a really
understand.
good moment.
Yeah, which is because now there's relation. And again, we're getting this from Archer again, where he's starting to respect everybody else instead of just constantly bitching about them. Which is, I still think this is, again, and I've said this many times before, this is storytelling. This is character building. This is something that a lot of Star Trek doesn't do right. So I think DS9 did it right for the most part, but we see like Voyager never did it right, in my opinion.
Same showrunner.
Yeah, same showrunner even. Yeah, funny enough, but
I think that I guess I point that out just to say I kind of agree, but I feel like Voyager and Enterprise narratively are kind of on the same scale for me. Like, they kind of have these ongoing.
They have a lot more similarities than the rest of them do. Yeah,
right. And what I do like with this T'Pol storyline is that like this mind meld has like long term consequences, right? Like this comes back and is like an issue for her. Like she gets basically like the mind meld equivalent of an STD from this whole thing, doesn't she?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I do recall something along the lines. Yeah, or at least some sort of damage that does continue to happen. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why they banned the mind melds, right?
Which I think was a good thing that they not that it's a bad thing for her character and obviously like an assault and all these things, but it's that they don't just kind of like move on and that was that one time and that there's
this is a long term PTSD. She's wounded.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is interesting to see because we also think of T'Pol up to this point as kind of like the unbreakable T'Pol, right? Like this is, she's a very strong character. She's probably one of the strongest people on the ship. And we see that she even has the weaknesses, right? So it's interesting to see that all of them have faults, right?
Yeah, it's like when you see somebody that strong break down, it's very difficult for anybody to handle. And what do we do? This is usually she's the strong one.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I like that last scene, because you kind of see how Archer is almost tiptoeing around, right? Like he's being very gentle, which is something Archer doesn't normally do. Like Archer's just kind of like, I'm going to walk into the fucking room kind of thing, right? Like he's like, I'm here, I'm Archer. But it's interesting to see how he's kind of like, walking on eggshells, so to speak. So again, I agree with Kevin on that one. It's a fantastic scene because it really does show us that Archer can be trained, I guess is a good way to look at it in a way.
I'm glad he didn't walk in and say you're not allowed to have open flames in your cabin.
Yeah, no open flames in the cabin. We've talked about this before. Stop trying to blow up the whole damn ship. You gotta wonder how many gas lines are going through that thing though. Like this is a utility ship. Like this isn't like a luxury liner or anything. Like
Vulcans love their
candles, those boards. Man. You open up those boards. There's probably a whole bunch of tubes with like shit.
They gotta have their candles. How else are they going to do their punitive spiritualism?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Yes. Resistance will only live to punitive spiritualism.
I thought about that scene when he says practically from you, that's practically an outburst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. There's the episode itself isn't that bad. I wouldn't say it's like in my top 10 or anything, but
would you guys say, how we talked about the bottle episode last week? I think that was the term, right? Yeah. This is like one step beyond that. There wasn't a lot to it.
There was only like one other Vulcan set that they went to, right?
Well,
they had the bridge, they had
that was
engineering, but T'Pol's cabin and the mess hall.
Yeah. So so other than that Vulcan bridge, that would be the only thing they would have to like make for this.
5 things, yeah.
Yeah, and that little statue that was there of Surak.
But again, we already learned previously that this is where they got into kind of a crunch for money, and they weren't sure where things were going to go after this. So it's the same thing that happened with the second season of The Walking Dead, for instance, right? Same idea, right? So I
guess it wouldn't be a bottle episode because it still has 4 guest stars in it. But
that's true.
but it's
like they're paying all these people to be there, so it's
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't think I
not
think
a true
I think you're
bottle
right, though.
episode,
It's
but not too much, not far
it's a
not
step
far
up.
removed.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
not far.
You know what isn't far removed from this though? Some fun facts.
Some fun
Oh, wow.
facts. Okay, let's get going.
Bang!
Let's go.
Let's get it on.
All
Not me.
right.
There we go.
Okay, as we said, excuse me, Robert Pine is the father of Chris Pine, who would later go on to play Kirk in the rebooted Star Trek 2009 movie. The elder Pine is best known for his role in Chips, which he... Hey, there it is, Dave, which also featured Star Trek's Next Generation Michael Dorn.
I know my stuff.
Which I totally didn't know.
I
Now I'm gonna have to look.
watched that show as a kid.
He had a huge mustache.
I have to go find a picture of him now. Okay, unless you want to put one up.
I'm working on it. You keep going.
All right. Whoop. Where are you guys gone? I'll continue. Okay. This is the first reference in Star Trek Enterprise and chronologically to Pon Farr that was not named on this occasion. Cove states that the Vulcan males are driven to mate only once every 7 years. Pon Farr was introduced in Star Trek Amok Time in 1967. This also marks the first time in the interior of a Vulcan ship is shown. Though I'm not sure because we've seen the captains on bridges before, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But not much of it.
And another one, chronologically, the first time a Vulcan mind meld is shown. This episode also established that mind melding is extremely uncommon among Vulcans in the 22nd century compared to later centuries. And at least some Vulcans have never even heard of it, Jody, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing.
Really.
Like considering, I guess it's a skill you got to learn.
There you go.
Just to throw it up there. Michael Dorn on Chips.
Hey, there you go. Wow, look
wanna
at
see
that
this guy.
stash, eh?
Yeah, it's a serious
That's a
stash.
stash right there. Woo.
Wow. Okay. Did he make that picture for you, Dave?
No, I just.
Dave, that came out of Dave's personal collection.
I've
Dave's gonna have to
never even seen
meditate
Chips.
now.
It's not on the back wall, so I guess not, right?
I've never seen Chips, and I don't know what his character was about, but it's Michael Dorn.
Okay, Jody, show me your pain. This is the only reference in Star Trek to Vatosh Couture. However, it is speculated from that Cybok from Star Trek IV, The Final Frontier, was part of the same movement. Yet another group of radicals, the Cyrenites, were introduced in Star Trek Enterprise Awakening. Their movement proved to be a little more successful. The exterior San Francisco scenes that were shot at Paramount Pictures New York Street backlot, which had numerous times through Star Trek. Tucker, I felt this is a little bit weird. Tucker mentions his older brother at one point. The brother is never mentioned again, but Tuck's sister, Elizabeth, has a more important plot point in later seasons.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Yeah.
They got a lot of kids over at the Trip House.
The Tucker House.
They be tripping over kids.
Not a lot of meditation going on over there.
Not a lot of meditation over there. Just straight out action.
Yeah, I'll save my comments for later when we get to that, but that's a pretty powerful scene when she comes into play later on. Tucker's mentioned, I said that already. Pardon me. The CG model of the Va-class reappeared in Star Trek Enterprise Awakening as several generic Vulcan cruisers, despite Paul's claim that the Va-class type ship hasn't been used for a long time. Guess they had some budget issues too. During the flashback scene set in the nightclub, the grating behind T'Pol is reused in the set piece appeared on Rise in Deep Space Nine. Let he who is without sin came into aboard the scimitar in Nemesis.
The scene, like they talk about the streets and stuff.
They're talking about the grating behind T'Pol. Do you have a picture of that?
The grating. Okay, no, I got
Grating. Gratt.
In her dream sequence
Yes.
specifically. Okay, I'll have a look for that. I didn't see anything specific when I watched this earlier. I was more fixated with this creepy Vulcan breathing on her neck.
Yeah, he was very close. Like the
Yeah.
whole episode. That was another thing that was unsettling. I don't know
He
how.
should have been on To Catch a Predator.
Well,
Chris
he's
Hansen
something.
should be finding him.
Mhm.
Something
Oh, that
going on.
greeting. Okay, yeah, it's very brief though. You blink and miss it here. It's when she first goes into this club here. There it is.
Oh, it's hard to see, but
Oh, the club
yeah,
is called Fusion.
Yeah, the club's called Fusion. What, you didn't know that?
No,
Nope.
I was trying to figure out why this episode was called
I knew
Fusion.
that.
All right, well, you got me.
Fusion
You
was the
didn't
name
know
of the club.
Michael Dorn chips, did you?
No, I didn't. So
Okay.
it's 1-1 now, Dave.
Yeah, we're
I
tied.
didn't know we were in a competition, but it's 1-1.
Okay, the mind meld plot line can be read as a metaphor for non-consensual sex, though Paul actually originally agreed to the act. She withdrew her consent when she began to struggle and told him to stop. He continued with his actions and had to be physically pushed away.
Yeah.
Afterwards, he doesn't consider it as an assault, which can be common in people who commit such crimes.
Well, it clearly was
So
like
the takeaway here, children, is don't do that.
no telepathic assault.
I didn't mean telepathic, but yeah, okay.
Any assault.
Kevin's like, this has gotten really not fun.
Yeah, they're not too fun facts tonight, but like I think you said it earlier, this is like, it has 2 pieces of bread and then the lettuce in between and you got an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it.
All right.
All right. Let's come back.
Let's get to our ratings.
ratings.
Let's
Kevin's
rate this
asleep.
thing.
Kevin fell asleep.
We
No,
gotta
I'm
wake
not
him up.
asleep.
He's just meditating.
That's it. I'm just
fine.
trying to control myself, guys. All
Trying to
right, I'm
control.
just trying to get
He's too
through it.
excited about Enterprise. He can't wait to see Archer again.
All right, let's rate this. So Jody, Fusion.
You know what? Even though I think it deserves a little bit more, I'm not going to give it because I was kind of bored through part of this episode. I'm going to give it a 7. It's not terrible, but it definitely could have been better. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm giving it a 7 is the parts like with like Kov in it, and that's about it. No, like non-consensual mind melts. I'm not. They lost points for that.
I thought you would have been harder on this episode, sort of like a Miri episode, but
Oh no, Miri's a whole other thing. Don't get me started on that.
I'm going to give this a 6.5. I didn't like this episode that much. I wanted it to end.
Yeah, me too.
I was okay with it. I think that there was some interesting stuff with Kov. I thought was all really good. I thought the whole like you guys sleep for like half the day.
No, that was just a little part of the episode.
I know, but there's a couple zingers in this one.
We sleep for 8 hours. In my case, about 6.
That means I'm giving him more than 6. I'll go 7.5 for this. All right.
Oh my
Kevin?
God, we're in Bizarro world here.
Yeah, I was
I
just thinking
love
that.
this episode.
You loved it.
Yes.
I knew it.
What does this say about this? Anyway, go ahead.
I give this a 9. I like this. Yes, I
Holy-
love this episode.
You stand by your convictions. Kevin.
You know what? It's fine.
Oh, did you watch last week?
It's not like
did,
we're rating Picard here. Okay, if we were rating Picard here, this would be different.
Whole different scale.
And Dave would
last
definitely
week
be the
I
one
would
getting the
give.
shit for it.
I think I give the same as most of you guys. 8. Last week was good too.
So you liked this more this week then?
Yes.
Really?
You know what
Yeah.
about last week? I cannot get it in my head. I cannot every day. Stinky. I keep hearing it.
Oh my God.
It's so
and
bad.
for people that didn't know, Dave's birthday was in the last week, and
Good morning.
somebody posted a screenshot of that. Who was that?
Me.
That was Adam. Yeah.
Was that Adam? Okay, yeah. It's just Stinky. It says Stinky on the bottom. It's also
Stinky.
Oh, God.
Stinky. He's gonna
I
haunt your
smiled when I
dreams.
said stinky.
Wow, when he said Stinky.
Just so you can have more stinky in your head.
And
You know what,
last
Adam?
week's
I'm going to start
last-
randomly calling you and just playing that back and then hanging up. They call
Last
me
week's episode I
Stinky.
found really boring up until they got drunk, and then it just got awesome.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It definitely got better when they got drunk.
Whiskey.
Don't tell me you don't look at her bum.
That bum.
Her bum.
She's got an awfully nice bum.
She's got an awfully nice bum.
They can giggle all at once.
But the galaxy's not getting any of our bourbon.
True. Galaxy's not
They
getting
got
any
toasted
of
on that one bottle, man. Like, holy.
Oh, did they
Yeah.
ever?
Yeah.
Average tonight with the four of us, 7.5. This has a 7 on the IMDb. We've averaged out at a 7.3, and I think we can call this safely a T'Pol/Vulcan episode.
Yeah. Easily. So I bet what you guys are asking is what's next?
What's coming up next, Jody?
What's coming up next? Well, I'm going to tell you, Dave. What's coming up next is a little ditty called Rogue Planet. And what this is the Enterprise crew comes upon a rogue planet, and while exploring, they encounter a group of hunters who hunt the life forms of the planet yearly. But while observing their hunts, Archer encounters a mysterious woman on the planet who claims that her kind is being targeted.
Ooh, I think I like this episode.
This is
I
a
don't
good
know.
episode.
I don't know if
I
I've
like
seen
one.
this.
Yeah, this is a good episode. I like this. This is probably where you fell off at this point, Dave. You're like, I'm not
Probably.
watching this fucking
I
show
definitely haven't
anymore.
seen every episode before. So.
I think it's going to get a sigh to Kevin, though, at the end.
The
Everybody
ending is
seems to like
very,
it, so that's it for me.
that means he's gonna be like, this is a 5 max.
It's been 2 in a row that I've enjoyed. So
You know what I'm okay
that's it.
with? I'm okay with mental rape, but I'm not okay with anything else.
I didn't say I was okay with it. I said it made for a good episode.
I don't
I'm
think
just kidding,
we're not endorsing it.
No, I didn't say Kevin endorsed it. He obviously liked it, but he didn't endorse it.
Good. Just to clarify, you didn't endorse it, right, Kevin?
No, I did not endorse it.
No, he does not endorse that. I can
Okay.
even tell you that.
We're on the
didn't think
record.
he did.
And on that very interesting note, and if you want to see more of Kevin and his shenanigans, you can see other things on this channel, Dave.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Kevin is in many of those things. Yes, to your point. So tomorrow night we have Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatch podcast, as we do every Tuesday night. We call it Deep Space Nine at 9ish. We are doing the episode from the Deep Space Nine's 5th season. It's titled Rapture. This is the beginning, Jody, of when they get the gray uniform shoulders. This is the very first episode. So
Yes,
this is
okay.
we're into this one. We're definitely into Changeling Bashir territory now, and
Changeling
this is
Bashir, yeah.
and this is Cisco getting visions from the prophets to build the city of Valhalla.
the worst part of it.
Well, they go full in on it. Let's just say that. So check that out tomorrow night.
Why
Deep
does
Space Nine at
everybody
9ish.
in Star Trek have to be a messiah? Like we got Space Jesus over on Discovery there. We got Cisco, Space Messiah.
He's the Space Jesus of all
Like,
Space Jesus.
when are they gonna stop doing this? Anyway,
Yeah, so check that out. Every Tuesday night we talk
that's
about
my
that.
rant.
Kevin and Ashley on that. Jaemeel, we got Davin in there, and Jeff Mater as the station commander.
A menagerie.
Yes, and then we just wrapped up covering Discovery season 4. I was doing that with Adam and Ashley and Michael Chan, Discovery's own Michael Chan, who once again was on Discovery in the finale. Had quite a bit of lines in this last one.
When the Mitchell's done, get them back here
Hopefully
to pick
he
up as
got
many
massive
additional
paycheck.
refugees as they can.
Yes, sir.
They should have.
That was Michael going, yes, sir.
That was quality acting right there.
Yeah,
I hope he got paid millions.
I don't know what he got. Jane was like, is it
I'm just
wrong to
kidding, I
ask him
don't
what he
know.
got paid? I was like, I think
Yes,
so.
it is.
Yes.
I can answer that one. Yes.
I'm sure that he's still under an NDA for that as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But great. Very happy for Michael and Star Trek Discovery. Check out that
Absolutely.
whole 4th season coverage over there on our playlist, where it'll be on YouTube, audio, or Facebook. We also are continuing to cover Star Trek Picard, which Jody Simpson's been leading for 3 weeks now.
Are you
Gavin
taking
and
the
Adam.
reins back?
Well, I thought maybe you could. You're doing quite well. I can kind of be there too and try to.
Well,
You
it's
know,
all good. I
You,
don't
you,
care.
you've been watching The Bridge, so it's. I don't want.
It's true. It's true. Davin and I have been taking the boat there, and sometimes Adam shows up. Sometimes late.
But this Thursday we're not competing with
Adam's like, I'm never gonna let this go.
this Thursday we're not competing with 2 Star Trek shows with Discovery and Picard both coming out the same day. We'll just have Picard. I have been enjoying it despite what others might have said. I think it has
not as well as the rest of us though.
I haven't been giving out 10s all around, but that's to say that
I only gave out 110.
All 10s for me.
It's all
I've never
so
seen a
far?
show turn around like this before.
Yeah, I just hoping they keep it. I just hoping they keep it for the whole season.
I'm still cautiously.
Bring up those ratings for a second, Dave.
All right.
I just want to double check something here. For Picard. Yeah. All right. Is that Picard? I can't see the damn thing.
It is Picard, yes.
Hold on. I got to make it bigger here. Oh, yeah. You see, I only gave 110. And that was on the last episode.
Davin's giving out only 10s.
Yeah, Davin's just straight 10s, like straight away.
It's like
through
Michael
here.
Chan's in it or something.
Yeah, it's like Michael Chan's. But I'm really liking Picard this season. I'm intrigued with where it's going. I think that Leah Thompson just directed this last episode. She's directing the one.
She does
this week.
phenomenal work too. Just the camera work on the last episode was fantastic.
Yeah, so
just all the lineups and everything are fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I found myself comparing this Enterprise to the way I felt after Picard, and I go like, I can't wait for the next episode of Picard. And after yesterday's Enterprise, the one I watched yesterday, I just was like, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. There wasn't much there. So I'm really hoping next week we pick up again. I think we will, because I like this episode, Rogue Planet.
Yeah. I'm excited just to come back in and talk about Picard with you guys, because I've been watching all the podcasts, Jody.
Have you? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've said some things.
Nothing,
anyway, no, I'm just kidding.
Nothing. That was.
We didn't knock you. We knocked Adam a couple times, but we didn't knock you.
No, just
Mostly
my
for his
ratings.
Promptness.
Dave hates this show. What's his problem?
Dave hates this show. 7.5. What the fuck is this?
I upgraded. Yeah, I gave it a 7.5. But I might change my rating later, because I'm starting to, because you got to see the rest of the. It's like trying to rate the first act of a movie without having seen the rest of the movie. You know, it's like.
But they're episodes, Dave. You can rate them individually.
They are episodes, but they're kind of not. It's kind of like, it's more like installments of the one big movie. So
it is. So the biggest problem that I have with Picard right now is they keep cutting at the end of the damn show at the worst, stupidest times. It upsets me so much. Like, I understand cliffhangers and all, but like, just give me 5
That's
more
how they
minutes.
get you.
That's all I want. Just 5 more minutes to like get me in a place where I'm not just.
It wouldn't be good enough.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like you do want to do like this whole binge watch at the end of the season again, just to watch it all as one.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I've already watched the first 3 again in a row.
Have you?
Yeah. And that California Dreaming song they threw into that last one was really catchy. I like went and got that on my playlist, and
I can't wait to see Rios in the districts.
They've done.
That's where they're going.
They've essentially attacked everything that I hated about the first season. Like Raffi, actually, I don't mind now. The Doctor, I don't mind anymore either, which is fantastic. So those were the 2 big ones for me. I hated both those characters.
The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is that the first couple episodes were so unique and going a different path, and now I find I've seen too many similarities to Star Trek 4.
There's a lot of Star Trek 4 in this. Yeah, but
no,
it really is good.
It was good, but we don't need to redo it, Dave.
No, we don't.
Well, I think the problem though is that you still have to do that, because we know how a Star Trek crew reacts to going back in time, so we have to see that again.
Yeah, but we don't need Rios to fall. Chekhov fell.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I didn't even put that together.
Not quite so spectacular.
Anyway, let's leave that for Thursday, guys.
Yeah, Thursday. Can't wait to talk about that show more with you guys. So that's a little preview for us. And then on Saturday, no wait, not this Saturday, but we often do Star Trek Radio Theater. We just the one with Steve Shives is up. It's all done. Got the subtitles all put in there now. We're looking ahead to April 9th. It will be our next Star Trek Radio Theater. Nice. You're hearing it here first. It's going to be Darmok. The Darmok.
I heard this like weeks ago on a podcast.
Well, you're hearing this part first, starring Davin Scalehorn and Adam Woodward as Captain Picard, and Davin and Adam.
There's no Q, so I don't need to show up
as Dathan, right?
Dathan, yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of
my
my
top Q and no Scotty, so I'm not
top
invited.
favorite episodes of Star Trek, like all series, all movies.
This is, you know what? It's top 5 episodes of Star Trek period for me.
Yeah,
and we're gonna be doing that in honor.
Fantastic episode.
We're going to be doing that in honor of First Contact Day, which is April 5th. So we're just doing that a couple days removed from it. So excited for that. And then we'll get a poster up probably later this week. And then what else? We have Super Mater Brothers podcasting. That's a channel. Jeff and Jaemeel and I talk about shows like Survivor, Big Brother, stuff, movies and TV that are not related to Star Trek, including Marvel. And we've done some Netflix series and different things. Not good enough, damn it. Not good enough. And so check that out. Also check out Trivial Debates, a monthly show. We argue about movies, TV, sports, and more. We have Max Duda hosting, this Sunday, March 27th with Jaemeel Robinson, Jody Simpson, and Worf, son of Moog, competing.
I'm worried about Worf. I'm not worried about Jaemeel. Jameel's just a 2-bit hustler who thinks he can out trivia debate me, but that's fine.
Yeah,
he thinks he wins one and he thinks like the world is his. It's just
yeah. Well,
but I'm really worried about Worf though. Worf he's going to be the wild.
He comes for glory.
It's glory comes to him. So it should be interesting.
You'll be looking for the glory. So check out all of our different shows.
I think Davin's going to have a hard time talking the entire time.
Anyway. Temba. The truth is to be won. Yes, that's right, Worf. Also, some comments here from Sam. When are you guys coming to Newfoundland? When we start the Gilligan's Island podcast, maybe.
We
Sam.
did mention that a few episodes ago that we would do that.
You know what, Sam? Nothing gets past you.
We're going to do a live show from Newfoundland.
A live show in Newfoundland
from your living room.
From your living room.
That would be great.
From Sam's room.
I've never been to Newfoundland, so
we should at least go to a pub or a bar and do it, guys.
Yeah. We'll do it from a pub.
Obviously, we don't want to be mentally raped.
Where's the honor in Newfoundland?
Sam saying I have not seen much Enterprise episodes. Well, Sam, you can watch every week the episode.
Sam, you can watch along with us.
It is on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, man.
Is Discovery on Netflix? I don't think so. Not
it depends on what
Discovery.
you're in.
I mean, no, it's on Prime. Or no, it's not even on that. It's on
Crave.
Crave. Yeah,
it's on Crave. Yeah, in Canada. So
yeah. So all those questions, yes. So Sam,
or you
one
can
day
pirate at one of your favorite pirating places. Not that
we do such things.
Not that we would recommend that or anything.
Yeah.
Sam, if you set up that shed party, we'll come.
Have a shed party.
Shed party.
Depends
on what kind of beer you're serving.
Davin wants to know, what is the honor in Newfoundland?
They know how to drink.
They know how to do that in Nova Scotia too.
They could. Well, yeah. The whole East Coast there is very.
Isn't it all
friendly.
Canada?
All of Canada. Yeah.
Pretty much. Maybe
not
Manitoba guys are a little off. But
anyway. So on that note, I think we can wrap up tonight's episode. Fusion.
Wrap it up.
Fusion. Jazz fusion, Jody. And we can.
By the way, Dave, just so you know, that's the name of the club.
I know now.
Right.
Anyway, check it out later tonight. I'll be on with Jaemeel Robinson, Jeff Mader, talking about Big Brother Canada 10, Week 4 HOH nominations.
What does HOH mean?
Head of household.
Oh, is that like the boss?
Yeah.
Don't ask Jody.
Yeah. Anyway.
Fair enough.
All right.
How about you just play us out?
I think I am going to sleep.
All right. Thanks, guys, and let's play that out. All right, here we go.
And what about sleep? I understand you spend more than half the day in bed.
8 hours. We sleep for 8 hours.